Stader Labs lied to us. They goddamn lied to us. So now, come Monday, I'm unstaking all the Luna that I currently have with them. And I'll tell you why. But first, welcome to Crypto Saver. So as a quick throwback, in my first video on Stader, which was about a month ago, I was really optimistic about the project. I made a video about how I'm unstaking 150 Luna in preparation for Stader's launch on November 20th. November 20th comes about, I make another video about Stader. This time I criticized them because they actually managed to have an early release without telling the majority of their users, and before their official time came up for the release, all the Luna was essentially staked on their platform, hitting their cap. And then came the third video. In the third video, I actually began to stake with them. I took my 150 Luna, I staked it, I spoke about some of the positives, some things to look out for on Stader, but I also criticized them for the fact that they weren't being fully transparent of how they were handling their validators on their platform. My fourth video, which came out earlier this week, I really kind of dug into them over the simple fact that they never truly made it clear that liquid staking would be a separate product from plain staking. So anyone who basically staked on launch day, well, they have their Luna locked up on plain staking, and now with today's launch of liquid tokens, of liquid staking, they can't partake in that. What if I tell you that what I found out today makes all of that even worse? Absolutely worse. So in this video, we're specifically going to be focusing on the returns that you will be expecting from auto-compounding your Luna. We are also going to ignore the whole community farming event that is currently happening, where basically instead of getting your typical Luna rewards, which would be Luna and some stable coins, you kind of get that converted over to SD tokens. We are going to ignore all that and imagine that come January 20th, which is when their community farm ends, you would get your typical Luna rewards. So let's look at that. So as we look here on the screen, this is for plain staking. If I go to my holdings, you can see I have 157 Luna here. So after January 20th, I would expect that the Luna that I have here would gradually go up because they are auto-compounding our Luna in that process. On a similar note, for those of you that have chosen to liquid stake already, if we head over to the pools, you can see what the APY would be on LUNAX. And same thing here, if you take your Luna and you stake it, you basically mint LUNAX in return, and then your LUNAX will actually accrue value against Luna, and it accrues value based upon the staking rewards that are added on top of it. But what if I told you that you will actually make less money, a lower APY on your LUNAX than you would simply staking your Luna in Terra Station? What if I told you that you'd barely make any more with plain staking or compounding than you would with just staking on Terra Station and never compounding? You might think I'm a crazy man for saying that, right? Especially if we go to their homepage right now, you can kind of see the very first snippet here. It says higher returns, up to 25% plus higher returns via smart compounding. I mean, it was all over their Twitter, plastered everywhere. That, hey, if auto compounding, you're going to make so much more. If we head into their platform here on the strategies, now these are currently blanked out, and that's because of the community farming event, but after January 20th, they would be available to us. And we can also see right here, it says, earn 15 to 20% more rewards. Again, expectations it's from the fact that it's coming from auto-compounding your Luna. But what I decided to do today, I'm like, you know what? I noticed that Stader does charge fees for providing opportunity to auto-compound your Luna rewards on a daily basis. Let's take a look at what those fees are and how it would affect your actual returns. So this is from their FAQs for plain staking. On the transaction fees and commissions, we can see down here, a 3% of rewards would be levied as fees for auto-compounding rewards strategy, okay? 3%. Again, there's no fees during the community farming event, but we don't care about that because that is a temporary thing. We care about what happens after January 20th. Well, they take a 3% fee on the staking rewards on a daily basis. For LUNAX, it's not 3%. It's 10%. 10% of your staking rewards. Now again, of course, they have an introductory offer here where it's only 5%. But again, we don't care about that. That's a temporary thing. We care about the fact that it's a 10% of your staking rewards. So I decided to take those numbers. I'm like, okay, you know what? How does that really influence what your total APY would be at the end of the year once we take these fees into consideration? So I created a small presentation for us to better follow the numbers and to show you what I'm seeing myself. So in this first slide, we're looking at what would happen if you staked with Terra Station $1,000, right? $1,000 worth of Luna. And imagine that right now the APY is 10%, right? Just imagine it's 10% for all these examples, and we do not compound, right? So you put $1,000 worth of Luna into Terra Station, you never withdraw the rewards, you never add back to that pile, nothing. On the left-hand side, you can see that the daily interest would be 0.02739%. Okay? We're simply taking that 10%, which is dividing it up against 365 days. This is at a 10%. It ends up being a 10% APY, obviously. And in total, you end up earning $100 on your initial $1,000 investment, right? Everything's clear here. In the second slide, this is the optimal variation, which doesn't exist, by the way. $1,000, 10% APR with compounding. Now, here's a key thing here. In this model, there are 0 fees. So just imagine if Stader never took a dime of fees from you for providing an auto-compounding option. The daily interest stays the same. Our APY goes up to 10.51%, which increases our earnings to 105.15 for the year. So we make an additional $5.15, or better off, we make an additional 0.51% return if there is daily compounding without any fees. Now, this should blow your mind because Stat has been posting everywhere that saying that, hey, listen, with auto compounding on our platform, you will make 15 to 25% more net of fees. But that's actually not even possible because I ran the numbers. Auto compounding daily, no fees, you would simply end up making 10.51% annually. That's an additional 5% increase. Okay? Now let's take a look at plain staking. 10% APR with compounding. So notice we have our daily interest here. This number changes now to 0.026599 because now we have to consider that 3% fee that's constantly being taken every single day from our staked rewards. This ends up being a 10.19% APY, making us $101.94. We can kind of see here, this is the 3% model, right? Which is for plain staking. So this is actually the benefit you would receive from that auto compounding option with plain staking. You will not see 15 to 25%. You will see an increase. I mean, what is this? An increase of like 2%. It's barely there. I mean, let's be honest. That's barely an increase whatsoever. Now let's get to the juicy part, right? This is liquid staking. LUNAX just came out today. 10% APY with compounding. Daily interest, 0.024906%. The APY, 9.51%, okay? You end up making $95.15. And the fees, again, at the bottom at 10%. With LUNAX, you will make less staking rewards than you would if you were to simply take your Luna, stake it into Terra Station, and never compound it once in that whole year. Why does this happen? This happens because that fee that they're charging, that 3% fee that they're charging, that 10% fee that they're charging, it's so big that it simply eats away at any benefit that you can get from auto-compounding your rewards on a daily basis. Now you might say, well, Crypto Saver, why should I trust you with these numbers? Who are you? And you're right. I mean, I do have a degree in accounting, but I'm not a mathematician. So what I did do, I went out on Upwork and I decided to hire a mathematician. So let's take a look at who I hired. I hired a guy, Eugene, from St. Petersburg, Russia. He has a PhD, he's a data scientist, quantitative researcher. I would think this person has to be qualified enough that if I give him this information, he'll correctly create a model within Excel and kind of verify if the numbers that I am seeing are the correct numbers. And let's see what he came out with. So this is what he built out in Excel for me. And all we have to do here is if we change the fee over here, this will basically show us what we stand to make. So in this case, if there's a 3% fee, the real interest rate is 10.19%, which we saw in my presentation. And also the daily interest rate that you would earn net of fees at 0.026. Once again, it confirms everything. If we put in 10%, you'd get the same numbers. Comes out to 9.51%. If we put 0%, right, this would be the optimal model, right? Daily compounding, zero fees across the board. The real interest rate, 10.51%. Okay, again, that's as best as it gets of daily compounding with no fees. Now, I'm going to take this Excel. I'm going to throw it up on a public Google Drive. I'm going to share it in the description below. If you're going to dive into it, check some of these numbers out. Maybe you doubt some things, but this will give you a chance to kind of play around with it. So how do we explain this? Where do these numbers come from, Stader, that they're promising us higher APRs, 15, 25% higher APRs when we do the math ourselves and we cannot get there? So I went on Discord and I had a chat with one of the team members from Stader to get an answer from it. And while I'll be honest with you, I was absolutely hit with a bombshell. As a quick interruption, if you're enjoying this video so far, give me a thumbs up. I would appreciate it. So back to the topic on hand. Let's bring up the conversation that I had with one of the team members from Stader. In this conversation, I gave them the numbers that I had. I said, listen, where am I going wrong? What am I not seeing that you guys are seeing? It took me about an hour, back and forth. They weren't really giving me a straight answer. Well, let's focus on the last sentence in their first reply. In dollar terms of Luna appreciation, you would be making higher returns. A relatively tough sentence to kind of understand, but I continue. I say, but that means that your model is assuming that Luna is going to appreciate in price. No? They respond, yes, we have factored in Luna price appreciation versus holding stable coins. Now think about that. That is crazy. That means the APYs that you see on their platform are accounting for the fact that they believe Luna will go up in price. And they're using that information to essentially tell you you are going to make more money on their platform. And to dumb this down just a little bit more, let's head over to Terra Station to better explain what they really mean here. So typically when you're staking on Terra Station, you can kind of see your rewards. You get some Luna, you get a bunch of different other stable coins, right? The majority of the time, most of that value from your staking rewards comes from Luna and from UST. That makes up the biggest bulk of your rewards. Well, Stader is saying, well, since we are basically taking all those stable coins, converting it to Luna on a daily basis, shipping it into your staked pile, and since we believe Luna, let's say, is going to go up 20% over the course of the next year, your earned APY is going to be much higher because you have more Luna exposure. But the thing is, nowhere, absolutely nowhere, no documentation, no white paper, no lit paper, no FAQ ever stated that those APYs are based on the fact that Luna is going to appreciate in price, because guess what? What if it doesn't? What if Luna does not go up in price? No one ever expects that APYs would be based upon the fact that that asset would be rising at the same time, because there's no guarantee that it would be rising. This also completely avoids the whole idea that even though we do not compound our staking rewards on Terra Station, let's say, as often, my Luna in Terra Station, it still sits here. I still have, right now, I have 0.26 Luna, and sure, if Luna goes up in value, then that little pile there does go up in value. So sure, over the course of a year, I can actually have a higher APY on Terra Station if Luna goes up in price. In their calculation, they're looking as though the APYs on Terra Station cannot benefit at all from price appreciation, but their system completely benefits off it. So my final question to them was, how much Luna appreciation was priced in percent-wise? I mean, that's a reasonable question to ask. Because if they gave me a number, I can crunch it and see, okay, that's how they got to it. It still doesn't excuse the fact that they should never, ever be using that number, because they could pick any number out of a hat. They can say 50% is what we expect Luna to appreciate. They can say that. Well, their response: we'll share more details around this soon. Now, I'll be honest with you. I doubt they're going to share that information until there's a bigger outcry about this. They just never shared it to begin with, and it makes sense why they wouldn't share it. Because with plain staking on Stader, you will barely make more APY by using their platform. You barely make. At some point, you have to consider, is it worth the risk of moving your Luna onto a third-party website and staking it there to just eke out just a slither more of an APY? And on LUNAX, you actually end up making less. Absolutely less. I mean, you're essentially willing to take less rewards for your staked Luna of LUNAX simply because you are able to get in and out of your Luna easier. Granted, you likely still do it at some sort of slippage cost, but why not just hold BLuna in that case? At this point, I just see you'd earn more rewards of just holding BLuna. So after this communication with them, I've decided that I will be unstaking all my Luna of Stader, and I just personally do not feel comfortable staking with them, because at this point, it does seem like their team is grossly incompetent to be running this project. Sure, it's a very severe thing for me to say, but there's been a bunch of little issues here and there that I've had to kind of contend with, but this is a major thing. This is just blatant lying about what our returns are going to be simply by fudging some weird numbers in the back end. I mean, that's just crazy. The only reason why I'm not unstaking my Luna right now during the course of this video is because come this weekend, there's going to be a snapshot taken by Terra World for Luna stakers to get Genesis airdrop. Genesis airdrops tend to be big ones. You want to make sure that you don't have Luna kind of held in no man's land in an unstaking process, because you're going to miss out on a bunch of those drops. Once a snapshot is taken this weekend, come Monday, Tuesday, all my Luna is getting shipped out of Stader, and I think for the time being, I'll just be done with them. LUNAX might look like a great product. You might be able to leverage it, borrow against it, but I mean, do you really want to have your Luna staked at a place where the team seems to be fairly quick and easy on kind of not being honest with their user base? Because personally, I'm just not comfortable with that. And here's the thing. On my YouTube channel, I will always scrutinize projects where I feel that the team behind a project is not doing good by their user base. There's plenty of YouTubers out there that are willing to gloss over any red flags and just talk about the positives, but I feel if you do that, it's disingenuous for starters, and it also allows for more projects to come out that will take advantage of their user base. And right now, with how these percentages were calculated, I can only say that Stader Labs is taking advantage of its user bases on the premise that most people are not going to sit down and crunch these numbers and truly realize what the APYs would be on their platform, and they simply are blindly believing what Stader is telling them. I also have no problem talking about the positives. I've talked about the positives about Stader. I've talked about positives of other projects on Terra. If there's good things going on and I see that the team is being honest with their user base, I will talk them up. I will recommend them. but not if they're messing up. And this is a big mess up. And with that, thank you for watching. If this is news to you, tell me in the comments what you think about it. Some of you might overlook this and say, well, sure, I mean, I'll make less of LUNAX. But listen, I like the idea of LUNAX, so I'm willing to overlook that. Just let me know what you think. If you enjoyed the content, appreciate a thumbs up, a subscription for those of you who simply like content about Terra. And for any diehard fans out there, I do have my own Discord. Just opened it up a few days ago. If you want to partake, kind of talk with me in there, feel free to join. I mean, it's completely free, so no pressure. Other than that, have a great day and stay tuned for my next video.